Hello there guys, it's me Unstable Voltage and welcome to episode 4 of Sid Meier's Civilization Beyond Earth. One thing that I have noticed, maybe it's because of the lack of luxury resources in this game, is there doesn't appear to be much diplomacy that goes on between the player and the AI. At least they certainly don't approach the player as often as they did in Civilization 5 with various deals and things to be done. But anyway, let's get on with the following turn. We've still got a few technologies that we're trying to work towards, and we've got our next AI player coming in.
El pueblo unido de Sudamérica le da la bienvenida.
And we have met Brasilia with a sort of very militaristic looking outfit there. So that is 5 AIs now. So we've now met, I think that's all 5, yep, because that one's there. So with ourselves, that makes 6. So all of the players are now on the map. And that is at turn 30. So turn 30 on standard pace and everybody is in and ready to go. So at least we know roughly the sort of timescale that works on. Don't really want to end the turn in this miasma, but I don't know where those aliens are. Actually, yes I do, they're right there. At least we can back out slightly. Let's go up here onto the hill. Might be slightly more defensive. I think we can probably get back out of there if need be. Just quickly want to turn the hex grid on just there, because those two hexes are next to each other, but it does look like we can pass between them even though there are some canyons either side, so that shouldn't be too bad. I guess we'll find out what's going to happen. We'll have to go on to the next turn though. Right, the aliens aren't being too aggressive at this point. Don't really seem to be able to get past those aliens without going through the miasma, so I guess I'm just going to have to deal with that. We'll end the turn on a miasma hex. Now this wasn't a great spot to land in because we've also got some... Are those wolf beetles? Yeah, wolf beetles, so it's going to be a little bit difficult getting past those. I think what we may do is just retreat back to our own territory. There isn't an awful lot more area that we can scout out unless we head over here to the northwest, which might not be a bad idea. So we'll bring our explorer back to our city, we'll heal him up, and then we'll go out and have a look over in the northwest. Actually, got to be careful now because these aliens are actually starting to surround me. We've got 2 lots of wolf beetles. I suspect that there may be a nest around somewhere. Still getting this again, it's telling us that this is a mountain. It certainly looks like a crater with a lake in it more than anything else, but for some reason that is a mountain, not a lake. A little bit strange. Do I really want to try and work my way past these aliens to go in that direction? I don't think I do, so let's get out of there before we take any more unnecessary damage. And get on to the next turn. 5 turns away from getting the genetics research done. Obviously some of these turns are now going to take a little bit longer to process because we do have more AIs playing the game. Our worker has now finished the construction of that generator, which is giving us some additional energy per turn. So we've got 2 choices now. We can either go and construct a plantation over here on the fungus, or we can go over here and build a mine on this hill. Now the mine might not be a bad idea because that would give us the ability to get a bit of additional construction going, and the worker can stack with the military unit, of course. That's absolutely fine. Have we moved you? No, we need to get you over here. So you have taken a little bit of damage, but we can heal up, so let's go on to the next turn again. Station discovered. You have discovered Meier Gungan. Meier Gungan provides 2 culture and 2 science to any city that establishes a trade route. So we've got 2 stations here that we could potentially trade with. Where is the other one? Hasn't actually told me where it is. Ah, it's up there. That's actually quite a distance away. I don't necessarily think we'll be able to easily get to that. Now, there's no distance limit on trade routes in this game, unlike there was in Civilization 5. So you can trade with a station no matter how far away it is from your city. However, it does actually have to be accessible via the terrain. So if it's somewhere that you can't physically reach, then you wouldn't be able to trade with it. So let's go ahead and get these guys back to base. They have taken a little shortcut through some miasma, but that's fine. So let's get a mine going on this hilltop. On to the next turn. Quests have been updated. For your eyes only, a mysteriously encrypted transmission was received from an unknown origin. After some considerable effort, it's been decoded. The clear text reads, the Culper cell requires infrastructure for covert operations. Should you choose to accept, you will be rewarded in time. So, of course, we would need to unlock a specific research if we want to go down the sort of covert operations route, which is something that we would like to be able to do. So we need to research computing. It actually tells us there what we need to do. So we still need to found an outpost. We still need to build this alien preserve, and we also need to research computing. So we've got a few things that we need to do at the moment, so it's not too bad. So we've got a few things we can do. We can now do some more construction. Does it tell us what we've actually finished, what our last building was? Doesn't actually immediately come up and say. Maybe I missed it. I can't remember what it was that I was building. So oh, that was right. We were actually building the trade depot, weren't we? So now we can actually build some trade vessels. They do take a long time to produce, though, but let's go ahead and build one anyway. I don't really see anything else on the list that would be super useful right now. Maybe it's worth getting another militaristic unit. If we need one, of course, we can buy it. Let's move over onto this tile. We can heal up on the next turn and then move out.
You go to war with the soldiers you have. Make sure those are the soldiers you want.
Okay, so we've researched a new technology. We now have genetics. This allows us to build the farmer lab, which will give us a little bit of extra health, and it also allows us to build the cyto nursery, which will give us some more science and health. That is definitely going to be a useful thing to get. Let's tell this explorer that he needs to heal up, and we need to research our next science, I believe. So, is there anything that we need specifically? Well, researching computing could be useful. We've got ecology, which means we can move into computing. That would allow us to build a missile rover, which is a ranged unit, specialises in reducing defences of cities and outposts from afar. So obviously that is artillery. We could also build a gunboat. Not a bad idea, considering we do have a coastal city. It would allow us to build the spy agency and also a network. And that is science from copper. So obviously copper is a strategic resource that we haven't found yet. There's also chemistry, which allows us to find petroleum. So there's quite a few sciences here that would be useful to get. I certainly want to have a look at the sort of covert ops side of the game. So we definitely will be going and trying to pick up computing. I don't think there's anything that we desperately need before that. We could, of course, go for physics, which would give us rangers. Rangers are the first ranged unit that you can get in the game. That would also give us an observatory and launch complex. Orbital coverage around this city is increased by 3. Maybe getting the observatory would be quite useful. +2 science and +1 science from Phyrexite. And the ability to build rangers as well. I think what we may do... combat rovers as well, engineering. There's so many nice things to choose from, and I guess this is what makes the technology web a little bit more appealing than the technology trees. You really do have to think about where you're actually going to go and what you're going to pick up, because engineering would also reveal titanium on the map. Geophysics reveals geothermal, so there's quite a few different sort of resources that we do need technology to be able to see. I certainly think physics is a pretty good idea, because that would give us the ability to pick up some additional science. After physics, we may then go into computing. So I think that is going to be the plan. So let's do that. We'll stick with that for now, unless anything changes and it seems like a better idea to do something else in the future. So what tiles are we working? It's assigned you to this tile here. Now, there's no food on that tile, so it's not particularly brilliant, and it's 20 turns until the city grows again, but we will be getting a lot more production here shortly, and that is not a bad thing. So, yeah, I agree that that tile is probably okay for now. We don't have a huge amount of health, so at the same time, we don't really want to increase the population too quickly. We can actually develop another virtue now. Now, we could spend it in one of the other trees, although it might be nice if we could continue to work down the knowledge tree. Each city tile... generates +0.2 wow, can't say that. Each city tile generates plus 0.25 science for every population. Or the other option, of course, is earning the extra culture equal to 30% of net health. Well, we only have 3 health, so 30% of that is going to be just under 1. So we gain 1 extra culture per turn. So it's not that great at the moment. So let's go into the laboratory apprenticeship and get that additional science. That means we're only 1 virtue away in knowledge from getting the 10% culture in every city anyway. So if we actually go and have a look at our tiles now, it's not actually showing that any of them are giving us additional science. So that must be something that's done under the hood. But let's go on to the next turn, see what we can do. Okay, these guys have healed up, so let's get them through the miasma. Hopefully they're not going to run into too many aliens over there. So I actually thought that I'd played through a lot more turns than I had, but we're only on turn 38, so things seem to be progressing at a relatively similar pace to what you'd expect in Civilization 5. So let's start heading up to the northwest. Again, we've got a little bit of coastline up here. And let's keep working our way across. Okay, we have found some more aliens there. I'd rather not have to run into them, but I don't really see many other places that I can go. So I'm just going to withdraw back across the river for now. Hopefully they'll disappear off in another direction. So that worker has now finished the mine. That gives us quite a bit more production. That's nice. It's recommending that we go and build a farm over here, and that doesn't seem like a bad idea. Get a bit more food from that tile. So let's go ahead and construct a farm there. That'll be quite nice. We don't actually have any farms yet. A lot of the sort of pre-production videos and screenshots I was seeing had farms everywhere, and certainly if I was playing Civilization 5 I'd be trying to build lots of farms to increase my food output. So let's go ahead and start getting a few farms going. Of course I don't know which tiles are the best ones to optimize our food output, which is why I haven't really built any farms at this point. We've got those aliens. I could head here. That does put me in the miasma, but I'm trying to skirt around the coast. We now have a trade vessel, and it wants us to choose our production. So I guess what we should probably do now is get the Cyto Nursery, because that would give us some science and some health. So let's go ahead and do that. Trade vessel needs orders. You are going to establish a trade route, and hopefully... No, you can't establish with the station. That is very strange. Now, why is that? Why can't you actually get to that station? In fact, it doesn't appear to want to let me connect to anywhere. Let's have a look at the trade overview. Available routes. Well, apparently there is an available route from Megan to Lalibela, so why can't we actually use that route? Do we have to talk to these guys first? It's not saying that we do. Change city of origin. Well, that isn't going to make any difference because we only have 1 city. Establish trade route. There is absolutely nothing there. Is it because of that miasma? Is that miasma in the way? I mean, there's certainly a path that leads down there. I can't see why it wouldn't be able to reach that station. That seems very, very odd. Let's have a quick look down here with our marines and just make sure there's no aliens or anything in the way. No, we can certainly still see the place. But we can't establish a trade route. That is really, really strange. So what we'll get it to do is do nothing on this turn. And maybe we'll try and get rid of some of this miasma. So let's go in and purchase this miasmic repulsor. So straight away.
You have finished construction on a unit which can launch into orbit. To launch it, select the unit and click its action button. Once launched, it will have an area effect on the tiles beneath it until it deorbits.
Okay, so we now have an orbital unit that we can use. We do need to try and find it. Now, where do we select it? Ah, there we go. We select it from our city, so it's ready to launch. Probably can't use it on this turn, though. And I'm thinking that because when you buy units in Civilization 5, you normally have to wait until the following turn in order to use them. Or maybe we just click on the orbital view. Now, where do we want to get rid of this miasma? Sort of in this area around here. Ah, so we just right-click where we want it to go. So that seems to work. At least I think it's worked. Can't quite tell whether it has or not. Let's go on to the next turn. It's not telling us that anything is awaiting orders, so Right, we've taken some damage in that miasma. We are right next to the aliens, which I am a little bit worried about. I'm not going to be able to get away from them, really, and they do have zone of control on me. So let's skip around the edge of the map. We may end up losing the Explorer here. Yeah, that station is definitely fine. A unit needs orders, the Marine. Yep, you can just fortify for now. The trade vessel, I'd love to send you to that station. But for some reason you certainly don't want to trade there, and that I don't understand why. So let's go and do nothing with you. There we go, ready to launch. Launch orbital unit mode. There we go. Now we can do this. So you can see the blue area is the area of influence where we can actually launch the satellite, and then the green sort of hex is the area of influence of the satellite itself. So I think dropping it around here would be ideal, because that would clean up a few tiles of miasma. It wouldn't get this one, but that one's over a canyon anyway, so it's a useless tile. Putting it here would clean up these two miasma tiles within our city's reach, and it would also clean up this miasma tile next to the station itself. So let's go ahead and launch that satellite. Off it goes. And we can now see that that satellite is in orbit, and it's going to take a few turns, and it will eventually clean up that miasma. That will hopefully then allow us to trade with this station, because I can't for the life of me work out why it's not letting us do that right now. Okay, the aliens seem to have left us alone for the time being, and we've actually managed to find another pod. Unfortunately, it does have an alien group sitting on top of it. So let's go back over here, and we'll fortify and try and heal up. Once again, that trade vessel is asking us what we want to do with it. Again, I'd love to send it somewhere, but nothing is happening, so we're going to do nothing with it once again. On to the next turn. Okay, looks like those aliens have actually moved off that tile, although we do still have zone of control issues, which is a bit problematic. So we can actually see here that we have this miasmic repulsor. Even if we're not looking on the orbital layer, we can still see it on the normal ground layer of the map, so that's quite useful. Now, they have the Pentagon sort of icon that represents them, which kind of takes the place of things like great generals in Civilization 5, and I guess that's quite apt really, because you are essentially deploying a unit that does very little except sit on the battlefield and affect a group of hexes around it, which is essentially what great generals used to do. It's worth mentioning in Civilization Beyond Earth that there are no great people, so there are no great scientists or engineers, there are no merchants, there are no great generals or admirals, there's no artists, writers or musicians. It is still possible with the certain technologies to be able to build things like academies and manufactories using a worker, but you don't have the great people generation anymore, although you still do have specialist slots in certain buildings which can be used to generate additional types of resources. So that trade vessel, I'm guessing it still can't do anything, so unless I'm missing something really obvious. Yeah, no, still won't let me move there. So let's just go ahead and keep doing nothing with it until we can do something with it. Ah, now we're getting attacked by the aliens, and this is what I was worried about, because those aliens have now completely wiped out my my Explorer. The Explorer wasn't doing an awful lot anyway, so I don't mind that too much. Though it would have been nice to have gone and got that research pod. Now, there are no AIs over on this side of the map, and if the map isn't cylindrical, although now everyone has landed, it does look like the map is cylindrical. But maybe we might be able to get over there and grab that if we use our Marine, although I'm almost tempted to go and use a ranged unit instead. So let's look at what we've got. Blood bank. Since opening our clinic, the populace has been split by an ideological divide. Securing and improving our new territory has put great strain on both our military and civil workforce, and both contend the hazards that they face should be offset by state-sponsored healthcare. Our fledgling colony does not have the resources to do both, which then is in the greater need of aid. So apparently we've got a decision here that we need to make, although it's not giving me the option to make that decision that I can see. Oh, there it is. It's popped up behind everything else. So we can either gain 15 hit points for clinics, or we can get +1 health for clinics. Well, we're not having our city directly attacked, so let's get the +1 health. That puts us up to +4, so that's quite nice. And a unit was killed while defending. Your Explorer was destroyed by an alien raptor bug. Well, that's unfortunate. Still probably can't do anything with that trade vessel, so I'm not even going to try. And that's Franco Iberia, happy that we didn't fight back against the aliens. Not that we had much choice, because the guy got absolutely obliterated.
such as navigation in a spaceship approaching light speed.
So now we have the ability to build our rangers, observatories, and the launch complex, which orbital coverage around the city is increased by 3. So I guess that means that we actually have a larger area where from we can launch our satellites. But it would be nice to get a ranger built up. You guys, I would love you to go over there and deal with those aliens. I'm a little bit worried that you might still get wiped out though. I really want to avoid fighting against the aliens, particularly if we do want to go down the Harmony route later on. So we will have to be careful about that. You can skip the rest of that turn because I don't want you to stop in the miasma. The worker has now finished the farm, and it's only given me one recommendation at the moment, which is for a plantation over here. That will give me food, so it's not a bad idea. Let's go ahead and do that. That trade vessel still wants something to do, but still won't let me do anything with it, so off we go on to the next turn. Deorbit imminent, which probably means that my miasmic repulsor has about finished his job and is about ready to fall out of the sky. So one of your orbital units is nearing the end of its operational lifespan, and it will deorbit in 5 turns. Well, I say nearing the end of its operational lifespan, that's halfway through its operational lifespan. You are, well, of course, you're going to use all of your movement to move across the river, so we'll do that, take a hit from the miasma and heal up afterwards. Trade vessel, we will continue to skip until all the miasma's gone, and then we see if we can work out what the problem is.
Le commerce fonctionne quand on comprend l'autre.
So Franco-Iberia wants a declaration of friendship, okay. Well, it's actually a cooperation agreement, which works a little bit differently.
One of your orbital units is nearing the end of its lifespan. Though units in orbit have powerful effects, they cannot last there forever, and will crash back down to the planet after a time. Consider constructing a new orbital unit to take its place.
So, I believe also when the orbital units come back down to the planet that you can actually set up expeditions on them and reclaim some of the stuff that is dropped. I'm interested to have a quick look at the diplomacy because, of course, we do have these cooperation agreements now. No conflicting territorial claims with Franco-Iberia. They are neutral, though, when we're friendly with the Cavithan Protectorate. We share the same approach towards the alien life and miasma, and have a cooperation agreement with both of them. Is there anything that we could potentially trade? So we could trade in energy. We can actually trade in science per turn. So they have a lot more energy than me, I suppose. But again, the AI always starts with a little bit of a bonus. So, okay, we'll leave things as they are for now. Let's see if we get any sort of better deals from our friend here.
Namaste.
So, yeah, not really any different
Speak
options.
from your soul.
That's fine. Let's see what we can choose for production. We're okay on everything so far. Is it worth at this point getting a ranger? I think that it probably is. Of course, we still want a colonist as well. So, ranger's only going to be 4 turns away. Let's get the ranger, then we'll worry about the colonist after that. You guys are going to move out in this direction. You can also keep an eye out to see if the aliens are going to come from over there. Have we cleared up that miasma yet? Can we do anything with this trade vessel? It still won't actually let us trade to it, and I'm really, really confused as to the reason why. Because certainly it's telling us that we do have an open trade route down there. Where are we? Trade route overview. Available routes. Trade convoy from Magan to Lalibela. Yeah. So we should be able to trade with it, and I can't understand the reason why. Not sure if I'm missing something there. We'll have one more turn, and then we'll call an end to this video. Oh dear, we have a siege worm. So, let us heal up these marines. Doesn't look like that siege worm's coming towards us, which is good. Let's get a plantation going on that. New updates in the quest log. Worm killing. I traded my life for my leg when I met the great worm. Now, with all the fury and courage this cripple can bring to bear, I hunt. I hunt the earth drinker, I hunt the worm. Kill 1 siege worm. Do we really want to do that? What do we get for doing it? They are very, very difficult to kill. They are the sort of alpha alien unit in the game. I think Siege Worm is the most difficult land unit, and the Kraken is the most difficult sea unit. Certainly not something that I'm going to be able to take out with a couple of Marines and a Ranger, so we'll be leaving that for the time being. So again, we'll just tell that trade convoy to rest, and there's not an awful lot else I can do on this turn, so I'm going to call that the end of the video. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you are still enjoying Civilization Beyond Earth, and I'll see you on the next video. So until then, goodbye for now.